setting new standards in podcast excellence. You have joined the WBT, fully focused on business and taxes. Here is your host, Michael Lodge.
Over the last few days, we've heard a lot about the responsibilities of the board of directors of any company. And a lot of you startups have what are called advisory boards. Basically the same thing, where they advise you. But the board of directors is a really important responsibility within any company, especially if you are a publicly traded company. But the board of directors is really the core individuals who kind of keep the leaders in check, and the responsibility of those leaders in check. So a lot of you are probably wondering exactly, what does a board of directors do? What are their responsibilities? Well, they're quite a lot, because they are the conscience of the ethics of a company. So here are some basic responsibilities of a board of directors. One, they determine the organization's mission and purpose. Every company has to have a mission, and it's got to have a purpose, and it's got to have the ethics around that mission and purpose. Then they select the executive, and sometimes the executives. But they choose the executive that they feel is right to lead that company. They're the ones that the board of directors measure the leaders of that company and what they are doing for that company. Then they support the executive and review his or her performance. Then they ensure effective organizational planning, ensure adequate resources, manage resources effectively, determine and monitor the organization's products, services, and programs, enhance the organization's public image, and serve as a court of appeal, and assess its own performance as a board of directors. Now, it's important to understand that a board of directors is really the court of appeal. When anything needs to happen within the company, leadership can go to the board to get a resolution. The other issue is that in monitoring the leadership, they have to know that that leader is implementing all the standards and procedures and ethics and everything else that goes along with running a business. So if a board of directors is not monitoring it and are just there to review the financial statements and planning, and they're not looking at what the leaders are doing within their company, then they're not serving very well as a board of directors. And we see this very clearly in the Weinstein Group. It's the best example at the moment that we can use. Well, Weinstein, for 30 years, the board of directors said nothing about his sexual appetite or his deviancy. They did address it in his employment contract, that if he did this, something would happen. If he did this, something would happen, etc., etc. So they knew about it, and they had to have it within his employment contract. But knowing about sexual deviancy and abuse and not doing anything, each one of those board of directors should resign immediately, because they did not fulfill their responsibility as a board of directors. Sad, isn't it? But just remember that if you are investing into a company, make sure you know who are on that board of directors, because they're representing the shareholders. They're representing you. So if you have a concern, address it to the board of directors, because that is where you go to. And if they're smart, they will listen to the stockholders and take care of the situation if they hear about a situation from you, a stockholder, or if they hear about a concern from you, the stockholder. Know who your boards are, and if you see that they are not fulfilling their responsibility, then you as a stockholder can say something. In fact, you can even pound on the table until finally you get heard and things are taken care of. The board of directors is a vital function of a company. A lot of those boards members, they get paid for doing what they're doing. So make sure that they're earning their pay. Make sure that they're doing what their responsibilities are as a board member. So I really want to push this very heavily upon you who are investors in companies or who are leadership within companies. That you have to do what is ethically correct. If you stray from that ethics, you can bring your company to a downfall. You can see that companies like Weinstein are now trying to sell off various bits of their company because they can no longer get the financing that they need, thus says the media out there. But you cannot have a board of directors who did such a bad job and not be held responsible for that. Not only is the leadership should be held responsible, but the board of directors should be held responsible. And every single one of them should resign. And whoever is running that company, where the board of directors did so badly, an interim CEO needs to be brought in to take control and clean house. This is ridiculous about boards who do not comply with their job requirements of protecting the company. So I want you to understand how important a board of directors is to every single company that is out there. Every single hospital, every single corporate entity, every single nonprofit, the board of directors is vital to keep your company ethical. If they fail so badly as the Weinstein Group did, it's time to get rid. It's time for the stockholders to stand up and say, we want an ethical board. So pay attention. Pay attention to the board of directors and what they're doing. And pay attention to the leadership on what they're saying and doing. If you hear rumors, check out those rumors and make sure that what that leadership is doing, what the board of directors is doing, is not a risk to the company and to your investment. Get involved. Study the board of directors and see what they're doing. This is Mike Lodge for the WBT. I'll talk with you soon.
This is brought to you by Lodge & Co., a business and tax advisory firm where your success is our goal. Call us today toll-free at 888-681-1518 or visit us at www.lodge-co.com and learn more about what we can do for you. Lodge & Co., your source for sound business and tax services.
Thank you for listening to the WBT with Michael Lodge. Join us again tomorrow as we explore more about business and taxes. Follow us on iHeartRadio and go to our podcast website at www.wbtpod.com and listen to all of our podcasts and read our blogs.
World of business and taxes on the